is a daguerreotype of the immortal Concepcion Jualdez, or Florence Nightingale, the lady with the lump. She was the only girl bullfighter in Spain and was called by the aficionados El Private D.H. Lawrence, the uncrowned railway queen of Arabia. In turn, she was Folkestone's fastest centre forward in the year Lloyd George kicked off against the wind. Again, she was, of course, the original Miss Ravished Maiden of 1911. She married Jim Garibaldi, and was instrumental in introducing plastic exploding vicars into Italy. She named her beard Fred Fatang, had 16 offers of marriage from a diseased bricklayer, and died from a surfeit of cannonballs in aspic. Little else is known about her except that during a full moon in Tokyo, she hurled a Japanese tram driver off the top of Mount Fujiyama, shouting, "There's a nip in the air tonight." In the High Court today, the case of the false beard in the swing door continues, and in opening, Hermitage QC said,
Am I in order in asking for, pursuant to the testimony of the defendant's mother, a warrant of quo modo?
Meaning what?
My lord, a retainder having been non-proven, I submit that the prosecution should demand an injunction in default.
Are you referring to anything within the knowledge of this court?
Yeah.
What are you referring to? Either of you?
They're getting at me, my love.
And who might you be, might I make so bold?
Am I bound to answer that, my love?
No, it is immaterial. Nobody here knows or cares who anybody is, really. For you to give your name would only confuse the matter further. Just give your evidence.
Well, when Mary's discovered where Tom was, she went round to Rawlings to ask about the address. But Mrs. Barnes was there, and she said that Fred and Mabel had left their place on the Monday. So Archer...
My lord, I think there's some mistake.
No, Archer! Or knew nothing about it. Left some sandwiches for the boys and went back to see if Nellie had got hold of Ted.
And had Nellie got hold of Ted? Why are you crying?
You're bullying me. You're worse than Mrs. Upjohn's Wally.
What was all that about, Mr. Hermitage?
I haven't the faintest idea, my lord.
Mr. Snapdriver.
I'm as much in the dark as my learned friend.
In that case, gentlemen, I think we would do well to hear some evidence on the false beard.
I think I can explain.
Explain what?
The theft of the jars.
The jars. Oh, the jars, yes. Step into the witness box, madam. The jars, yes. You will pardon me, madam, if I ask what you were talking about.
My uncle sent my little boy to fetch the jars, but Mr. Craven said they'd been stolen by the girl who had applied the week before.
Does anybody know anything about this?
I think I can help, my lad. This must be Mrs. Kenmole.
No, my name is Toast. I'm a friend of Mrs. Lussick.
Go away, madam, or I'll have you for contempt.
Oh, all right.
My lord, I shall seek to prove that the accident of the beard was caused by the use of inferior glue.
But surely false beards are not glued to the chin?
This one was, my lord.
Does the beard fall above or beneath the bedclothes?
Is that material to this case, my lad?
Oh, it's a mere private inquiry. I think you should allow me a little latitude in cases of this nature. Call the next witness.
I should like to call the managing director of the firm of Niddo and Balgrees Glue Factors.
To what end?
They supplied the glue for the beard, my lad. I intend to prove that their glue is of the finest quality, and that in fact it is sold to the highest in the land. Crowned heads have used their esteemed product.
We are not here to advertise glue, Mr. Snapdriver, though what we are here for eludes me at present.
My lord, if the defendant had grown a real beard, we might have been saved an awful lot of time and trouble.
And what are you whining about? Your pocket will be well lined at the end of this case if I know you. And as for you solicitors, pullulating like ants, we all know how you make your money. £36 8 and 4 to endorsement of stamp, eh? Ushers and clerks taking tips. Upon my word, this court is a sink of iniquity. The only thing we have been spared are those damnable red-bearded dwarfs. What's that? What is that?
I feel it is the dwarfs, my lord.
In that case, clear the court. The court stands adjourned. Case dismissed. Case dismissed.
seasonal foul weather, I received the following letter, and it says, "Dear Sir, yesterday morning I noticed that a blue tit had pecked the cap off my milk bottle. The milk inside was frozen, and the little bird had tiny skates on its feet, and was skating round and round on the milk. Yours faithfully, Mrs. Emily Gift Nostril." We have much to learn from the animal kingdom, as this deathless epitaph will show. Here lies a death-watch beetle, an example to idlers and shirkers, but not too popular with, I may say, the Society of Amalgamated Woodworkers.
A dustman was emptying dustbins in the heart of a horrible slum, where no viscount's white foot had e'er trodden, and no marquis would venture to come. How taut were the socks of that dustman, which showed that he didn't forget the people's best friend in all troubles, Threadgold's Thoroughgrip Garteret.
When you're banging away in the dustbins, use Threadgold, Britain's best loved Garterets.
Threadgold's Thoroughgrip, Threadgold's Thoroughgrip, Threadgold's Thoroughgrip Garterets.
Yesterday at Brands Hatch I broke 2 records. Omne Mai Piu, sung by Gallicurci, and Vestula Jubia, sung by Caruso. Now then, Mrs. McGurgle's recent decision to bring a breath of the continent to Marine House has raised the hackles of her deadliest rival, Mrs. Faddick. Here, probing in depth, is our reporter, Mervyn Gloom.
Mrs. Faddick runs Rest Haven at Bucktooth Regis. Now, I believe, Mrs. Faddick, that you hold strong views about Mrs. McGurgle's attempts to brighten up her boarding house.
Mrs. McGurgle's regime is but an excuse to import loose continental morals to the British seaside. Bucktooth Regis, as its name suggests, was once patronised by royalty.
Really? When was that?
Yes, in 1932, when no less a person than the ex-King Ignatius the Incontinent of Serbia passed a fortnight. And who knows but what royalty may pass this way again? And when that moment comes, I want my walls soberly decorated with lithographs of Highland cattle, and not with pictures of unclad adventuresses, which constitute, I'm told, the decor of Mrs. McGurgle's establishment.
A provocative statement. What can Mrs. McGurgle reply? We await tensely.
The picture to what Mrs. Faddick is referring is of no unclad adventuress. It is the mayor's wife, and is a photo of what was taken when the new Lido was opened. If by unclad, Mrs. Faddick refers to a sleeveless blouse and open-toed sandals, she must be new to the business. A festive snapshot of our Lady Mayoress will not give Marine House the appearance of Sodom and Gomorrah. One can only conclude that her mind is so narrow, one would have to prise her ears apart with a bread knife.
Mrs. Faddick, the stage is yours.
I will not descend to the level of vulgar abuse to which Mrs. McGurgle has seen fit to enter into. Suffice it to say that Rest Haven is British to the core.
If British means taking in as lodgers cosmopolitan gentlemen who play the violin in gypsy tea rooms, and who have been observed pinching the waitresses, I want none of that.
Mr. Jollyfat was between engagements with a doily cart, and the waitress was his niece.
And I am the Queen of Iceland.
Nakedness is nakedness the world over, and I have none of it, Lady Mayoress. Ooh.
Mrs. Faddick is a whited sepulchre.
A whited what?
Sepulchre. Those who come from abroad to see our floral gardens will be greeted at Marine House by the fresh winds of laissez-faire, and not by the rancid and furtive breezes of illicit flirtations and golden earrings. Britain today stands at the crossroads, and the sign points unerringly to Marine House. Bed and breakfast 24 and 6pence. Cruet extra. And thank you.
A last word from Mrs. Faddick. This has been Mervyn Glue.
Thank you, what was once Mervyn Glue. Forget your pagan rites, leave the dishes in the sink, relax and enjoy another thrilling reading from the Anthology of Huntingdonshire Cabmen. Tonight, it's Ove to Toot. Need we say more?
Overberger von P. Openshaw BVD. Pin DSO and Bar. Boston M. Putterkoff Soames. The Rick Fumbler Twins. Sands Goodwin. Simpleton the Younger. Smalls JJJ. Snattersby Elf. Snob Posture Peter. Snuckle Romany Jim. Tamperton George. Taponga JB. Tout R.
Are teeth habit forming? It's a vexed question, and no two doctors will agree. Some believe that teeth in moderation are harmless. Others come down very strongly on the side of gums. Mrs. Renata Froth, married with 4 basset hounds, writes, I cut down on my teeth during my summer holidays. Since then, I have never looked back. So with the teeth of the nation as our only concern, we call in the testimony of an expert as we present a new feature, Dr. Rhubarb's Corner.
For 2 days now, my pet rabbit Barlow has lain still and motionless. What can be wrong?
He's dead, you fool.
My hat keeps falling down over my eyes as though it were miles too big for me. What should I do?
What do you mean, as though it were too big for you? Get a smaller one, you idiot.
My niece has got such long arms that in crowded places her elbows like rub against her knees make them sore. What do you advise?
Knee pads? Unless, of course, she's a chimpanzee.
My boyfriend's only got 2 tricks. One of them is to imitate beer coming out of a bottle by tapping his cheeks. And the other one's to imitate a train coming out of a tunnel. Well, my dad resents both these imitations because he's a teetotal railway porter. What shall I do?
Tell your dad it's water coming out of the bottle, and that the train is on a temperance outing to North Wales. If that fails, change your boyfriend. If that fails, change your father. And in any case, don't bring your footling and pointless problems to me. Good night.
There's a lot of it about, you know. It was a happy day when Dr. Rhubarb took the Hippocratic Oath and became a hypocrite. From one doctor to another, your very own Dr. Strabismus, whom God preserve, of Utrecht.
Good evening. Tonight, the 5th of my lectures on the instruments of the orchestra and the unusual uses to which they are put. Recently, orchestras playing in the Albert Hall have been plagued with the mice, which has been aroused by the music being played by the orchestra. This has disturbed the musicians, especially cello players, who, owing to their position, are more vulnerable to mouse attack. Therefore, tonight, I will be telling you how to catch mice with a euphonium. First, we bait the euphonium with a cheese. Next, point the instrument towards the mouse hole and play a rousing melody. The mouse will hear the noise, will come out so, and he will say, ah, a euphonium with a cheese up its belly. He will enter the mouse so, and he is trapped so. Immediately we suck him up so. The vacuum will pull him round here, round and round, until he reaches the E-flat chamber here. By pressing this valve here, he will be passed into this chamber here. Immediately we connect up the chloroform to the instrument so and switch on. This will render the mouse unconscious till the end of the program, when he can be released so and return to his home. I'd like to point out that this does not work with deaf mice. Next week, I'll be telling you how to mash potatoes in an accordion.
And speaking of mice, here's a poem. I knew a little tenor mouse who nightly filled the opera house. Although his voice was small in range, the higher notes were sweet and strange. One night a lady in the stalls, accustomed to low music halls, began to eat a hunk of cheese. The mouse went feeble at the knees. His whiskers twitched and stricken dumb, he eyed the auditorium. Then in a rapturous squeak he cried, after the show, my dear, outside. Now, the upper classes are feeling the pinch these days. That is, the female members are, especially when they're young and attractive and paying a visit to Dr. Smartaleck at Knockover School.
Yes, well, that'll be 15 quid, won't it? And I'll have 10 bob each way on Silver Blaze. Come in.
Mrs. De Vere Orpington, headmaster.
Ah, young Orpington's mamma. I have many happy memories of our last meeting.
Yes, so have I. I am so concerned about Cedric's scholastic progress. As you know, I'm a widow and, well, he's all I've got.
Oh, I wouldn't say all you've got, dear lady.
Neither would I, headmaster.
That will be all, Blanket. Go and polish Mrs. Orpington's rolls.
When you've finished with the head, Mrs. Orpington, you must allow me to show you the back of the school cricket pavilion.
The back?
I think you'll find it more interesting than the front.
Don't let me detain you, Blanket.
I shall be in the card school if you need me. Arrivederci, carissimo.
Yes, he has Latin blood, you know.
Did he say the card school? I do trust there's no card playing in this school, Doctor.
Oh, my dear lady, you may just as well ask if we back horses. It was a slip of the tongue on Blanket's part. He meant, of course, the choir school.
Oh, well now, the reason I'm here is Cedric's report. It's very strange.
Well, he's a very strange boy.
Yes, well, according to this, he has all the necessary qualifications for the diplomatic service.
But so he has.
But how can you tell? I mean, he's only 8.
Mrs. Orpington, in a recent examination, I've set the following question. How would you, as an ambassador in a foreign country, set about procuring an interview with the Minister for Foreign Affairs? Here is Cedric's answer, and I must say, for a child of 8, it shows a remarkable grasp of essentials. I quote, I would send a beautiful woman to allure him into my clutches. Or if that didn't work, I would get him into a game of whist behind locked doors, or get hold of some incriminating letters and blackmail him, or disguise myself as a gas inspector, come to read his meter, and then when his back was turned, give him one with a poker. There, the spelling is atrocious, but the sentiments are admirable.
My little Cedric wrote that.
It's a wise parent that knows her own child.
Yes, well, further, on this report, there's the history prize.
Well?
And the Latin prize.
Well?
Well, I mean, he isn't even taking Latin.
Well?
And he's captain of cricket and football.
Well?
Well, I mean, he's only 8. I must say, it's quite remarkable. remarkable. Oh, I can't tell you how much it means.
I'm hoping, dear lady, that the means will justify my ends.
A few weeks ago on this program, I happened to mention a news item about Romania's oldest lady trombone player, who is 79 and still blowing strong. Asked about the modern girls, she said, in Romanian of course, but I translate, too few of them play the trombone. They prefer a life of empty pleasure-seeking. There I thought the matter would rest, but no, the item has brought forth a flood of correspondence.
Dear sir, lady trombonists make the best wives. There's nothing like a good blast on the trombone to banish depression. I have my father's, and when I'm feeling not too good, I drag it out of the cupboard and play a rousing solo. And thanks to constant blowing, my jaws are so strong that I can bite clean through the London telephone directory. My husband has made a model of my trombone and stuck it in a bottle. Because he says that it is finer than any full-rigged sailing ship. He calls me his little trombonikins, and every anniversary he fills my trombone with peppermint lumps. My favourite sweet. Yours truly, Edna Horsepath. Mrs.
Of minor setbacks, the Filthy Stand Trio, the incredible sea-soaring Persians, have been booked by the impresario Mr. Colin Velvet to appear in the next ballet season at the Covent Garden.
Now, the story of the ballet is that Iphigenia, having been saved by Artemis from being sacrificed by her father Agamemnon, dreams that her brother Orestes is dead.
What bad luck.
Horrible luck, horrible luck.
But he isn't really dead.
Oh, he's only wounded.
No, it's more symbolical, if you like.
No, we don't like. Symbolic wounds can be very painful, can't they?
Perhaps you might understand it better if you saw rehearsal, actually.
Actually, oh, very good, sir. You speak Persian beautifully, sir.
Persian?
Yes. Let me explain. The word actually is Persian for fertilizer, and you're speaking it like a man to the manner born. Oh, yes.
Look, I didn't mean to, actually.
You said fertilizer! You said fertilizer!
I wish you wouldn't keep shouting fertilizer all the time. You can be heard all over the building and Dame Ninette's about.
Oh, now I'm understanding. This is symbolical. Why don't you get your haircut, missy?
Look, Fambasket, these are the Persians we're putting in the bag.
Hey! Oh, Lord.
In that seesaw bit that I thought of adding. Now, be a Boneroni and get the boys and girls to show them the scene, will you?
Well, Alicia and Rudolph already, I'll call them.
Elsie, Nobby, hear me, darling. Oh, he's calling his darlings. Good friends are on their way.
Oh, it is going to be merriment and jollity, laughing all the time.
Now, darling.
These must be the darlings they're talking of. Hello, little darling. Hello.
Now, darling, let us show our Persian friends the opening position, shall we? Act.
Oh. He's come for the rent.
She's reaching for his hat.
Oh, no, don't laugh. You see, this is symbolical. Oh, yes. Neither of them are there, really, except her. And he looks very dodgy.
Now listen, Colin is going to get extremely cross unless you behave yourselves. Now then, the piece of music that I have selected for this seesaw interlude is the barcarolle from the Tales of Hoffmann.
Oh, please, Memsab, who is this Hoffmann?
Oh, sir, I'm sorry, sir. There's no room for Hoffmann on our plank.
No, only room for 3 on top on our plank. If Hoffmann wants a plank of his own, let him get it. Why not?
We are talking about a piece of music, the Tales of Hoffmann.
Sir, if Hoffmann settles 1 foot on our plank, we are going forth.
Well said, oh brother. If it is this Hoffmann man, a member of the Onion?
Onion?
Yes, the trade onion. We are all members of ecstasy.
Oh,
on the vision. You're going to get on with it now.
Play it for them, Mostyn.
Oh, live on.
Yes. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Smile if it's
Good luck to you.
No idea. You are forgetting that the ballet is the most important thing.
My dear sir, we realize how important the belly is. Where would we be without the belly of a shora?
The belly of a shora,
belly.
It is your rotten dances that are getting in our way, and we cannot do the act of the seesaw.
Look, if you really want to know, I'm not at all sure that this seesaw is going to work, actually.
And fertilizer to you too, sir. We are going to go back to the mode of life that we are used to with important engagements. This week, the Palace Attercliffe. Next week, the Zen Buddhist Club, Merthyr Tydfil. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, have you got any more bright ideas?
Oh, fertilizer.
And now, before we part, a sensational news item has come my way. It says, a recent discovery has revealed that flight in a heavier-than-air machine is impossible. So to all of you in the air at this moment, I say, come down at once. You're not kidding anyone.